Okay, so about a week back, Goyer said some pretty nasty things about two characters. One being She-Hulk from Marvel, which he said she was nothing more than a giant green porn star that only the Hulk could fuck. Yeah, that was insulting. But he said something else about a character from his wheelhouse, the wheelhouse being DC, and that being the Martian Manhunter. And one of the things he said was he can't be called Martian Manhunter because that's being stupid. And he said a few other things like how Martian Manhunter can't work in the DC universe. Now, I was going to come on here about a week ago and talk about this, but I was like, no, you know what? A lot of other people have done it. They've said their piece. They've done it better than I have, so I decided not to do that. Having said that, though, I did think about the Martian Manhunter part. And something that the real Mano said got me thinking. And I think he's right. What Goyer said about the Martian Manhunter being a very stupid character, not being able to be transitioned into movies that well, clearly proves of how much faith DC and Warner Brothers really have in their characters. And I'm not just talking in movies, mind you. I'm talking about in comics in general. I mean, we've seen so many things change. This is probably, in some ways, you could look at it that DC is almost embarrassed by their characters. I mean, you could say that the New 52 was trying to rewrite everything they did, because let's face it, people. DC was built on silly ideas, on hysterical ideas. A guy who can circle around the Earth in a few seconds, is superhumanly strong, and he has one of his weaknesses is green rocks. That's silly, and I'm a huge Superman fan, and I admit that Superman does have his silliness to him, but he can have some great stories to him. Batman, guy who dresses up as a bat, that's silly. Guy who can run fast in red and yellow tights, silly. Guy with who flies around in space with a ring and a domino mask, that's silly. A woman who was an Amazon warrior with silver bracelets, who was loosely based on a woman who was a weird, kinky sex slave thing for the guy who built the lie detector. That's silly. Also disturbing, mind you. And we have Martian Manhunter, an alien superhero who can read minds, shapeshift, superhumanly strong, and all that. And that's silly. Having said that, though, you need to embrace that silliness. You need to have fun with that silliness. You need to... Let's look at Marvel. And I don't mean to be like, oh, Marvel's kicking their ass, because they are. They're embracing all their ideas. They're proving that you could do something with these characters and not afraid to take chances. I mean, this year alone, we're getting a movie, two movies, mind you, one movie about a group of characters that 95% of comic book fans have not heard of in a Disney animated film, being The Big Hero 6, and the other movie is going to have a talking tree, a green woman, and a talking raccoon. See where I'm going with this? And it looks like, you see, this is kind of also proves of how well DC, or lack thereof rather, DC kind of just doesn't take chances with their properties, because it kind of shows from what Goyer said is that Martian Manhunter could work easily well in a film, in my opinion, if you're willing to take that chance. But seeing, DC's track record outside of Superman and Batman, even then, it just kind of shows that, unfortunately, they can't really, are willing to take those chances. Now let's look at the comics. In the comics, we see so much in here that just kind of screams red flags everywhere. The thing with Wally West, let's talk about that real quick. And also this kind of pertains to Helena Bertinelli, since she recently appeared in the newest issue of Huntress. They've both been changed from their original skin tone to African American. They've been changed from Caucasian to African American. Now, I'm not trying to say this as like, oh, they changed the race, that's evil. There's been race change in comics before. I mean, that's happened a few times in the past, but it's never been done so frequently as DC's doing it. And unless you have a very good explanation for it, why do it at all? It just looks like you're doing it for the sake of doing it, and you're just trying to you're just trying to throw your characters out there and be like, hey, remember that character you like? Well, it's changed now to... It's kind of like when they said Alan Scott was gay, even though in the pre-52 he had ex-wife and 2 children who were very powerful. Obsidian was gay. I don't know why you didn't go with that. but apparently they didn't. So, and again, it still confounds me. And it just seems like they're doing these things for the sake of doing them, just to get ratings. Whereas Marvel is guilty of this too. I mean, how many times have they renumbered their comics alone this year? 12 times by my count, and that's just on titles I know of. But DC is just doing stuff that just makes my head scratch. Marvel, on the other hand, their renumbers irritate me to no goddamn end, but at least they have a set plan for a lot of these. They have a set idea for these. Whereas DC is just like, we're going to do this, this, and this, and this. Doesn't make any sense? No, fuck you! And I don't understand why. If you can give us a clear-cut reason as to why he or she is now gay, or he or she is now white or black or Asian, that's totally fine, if you can give us a proper reason. If you're just doing it for the sake of doing it, though, then why do it at all? I mean, you can't really blame the Wally West thing on The Flash, because they said, you know, Iris West is African-American, the actress is African-American, but the thing is that they here's the thing, you can't really blame the Flash TV show for that, because here's the thing. This was, Wally West being African-American was planned for the longest time. Ever since they announced Daniel West as Reverse Flash, they've done that out the hoo-ha. They've said that, yeah, Wally West is going to be that, and you're going to follow our example, Flash TV show. So, yeah. I'm not saying it as a negative, it just seems like almost... And also the whole thing with making... Let's talk about the other things. Like, taking all the fun out of Superman. Of making Superman this darker, grittier, and, you know, angrier type character that nothing goes right for him, and both his parents are dead, like Batman. And I'm not trying to say, oh, everything needs to be like Batman, like what DC's trying to do. It just seems like they're trying way too hard to change what was good. I gotta bring back the old thing of, if it ain't broke, don't frickin' fix it. And you could say that, oh, what about the Crisis on Infinite Earths with the whole Anti-Monitor thing and the whole universe has got rebooted. Why aren't you coming down on them if you're coming down so hard on the New 52? Here's the thing. That worked better in DC's opinion because it was handled better. They had a set plan for it, and they knew what they wanted to do from the get-go after that whole DC reboot. They knew exactly what they wanted, they knew exactly what to do, and they basically just kind of they had the right people handling the year one stories and, you know, the start of the origins and whatnot for these set characters. It's not like with the New 52 where everything just felt rushed. It honestly felt rushed for the most part. Excuse me. And that's kind of the sad, tragic truth about it. And getting back to the movies real quick, is that's why I feel like with the DC stuff, they're trying a little too hard to be, you know, a little more aggressive in their, you know, tones and whatnot. I mean, Marvel did that before with their movies. You know, when Marvel was coming out with their films, they were trying too hard to be, you know, darker and stuff like that. But the thing is that Marvel took their chances with Iron Man and their own studios and whatnot, and they gave it a chance to go further with it. That's now why we kind of have Guardians of the Galaxy and Big Hero 6, and now we're also getting Doctor Strange, we're also getting Ant-Man, which I'm not really having a lot of confidence, you know, I'm kind of losing my confidence in Ant-Man because of, you know, Edgar Wright leaving, but luckily it wasn't like nothing, like, apparently, what I understand about the whole Edgar Wright thing is that after he left, he didn't burn any bridges with Marvel, it was just like getting, you know, it was a mutual thing, apparently, so I'm glad Edgar Wright is like still on good terms with Kevin Feige and all of them. Thank God for that. But anyway, it kind of depresses me because, like I said earlier in this video, DC's wheelhouse was built on the silly. Do you remember what brought the Justice League together in the first appearance of Justice League? A giant alien starfish. That's what brought them together. You also have, like, all these characters in of themselves. They're all silly. And yet, you know, Goyer kind of proved right there is that, oh, you can't call him a Martian Manhunter because that's stupid and he's not a very well-developed character. And, you know, going back and forth, one would say that you could say that, you know, in one aspect or another. But the thing is that people know who Martian Manhunter is. People know that character. People understand that character. And he's had some pretty good stories in the Justice League. Has he had his own ongoing? Yes. And he's been a title character to the League. And, yeah, it just kind of, what Goyer said about Martian Manhunter kind of spoke volume, not only what the DC movie universe was like, but also what the comics in general are going about it, is that it almost feels like they are embarrassed by, you know, what made DC so great at the beginning. And it hurts. It really does hurt. So, yeah. Anyway, I could go on and on about this, but it would just be me complaining and bitching and moaning, which I don't want to do. I just want to get this out here because that kind of stuck with me. And after what Mano said about that whole theory of is DC embarrassed by their characters, and, you know, how they're going about doing, Batman and Superman. It just I just wanted to do this video and kind of get my thought, you know, get this off my chest, and I really want to see what you guys think about this. And yeah, I figured this would be an interesting video to do. And I'm not trying to say Marvel's superior, because again, Marvel gets on my nerves now and again. Like I said, the whole renumbering thing. And the movies themselves will get on my nerves. I mean, Iron Man 3 and even Thor 2 to an extent got on my nerves. Still saying Winter Soldier was the greatest goddamn film they've done in a while, and I'm still excited and I am excited for Guardians of the Galaxy. But yeah, I will openly admit Marvel irritates me too. There's always something between Marvel and DC that I can't be Marvel or DC, because they both have things I like and things I dislike. I mean, I'm not reading DC comics, but I am enjoying the TV shows like Flash, and, well, I'm going to enjoy Flash, hopefully, Arrow, and a few things like that. Whereas Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I was very close multiple times to dropping off that show. And but I am excited for the Daredevil Netflix TV show. So there's always something in between the two that either I like or dislike. But anyway, guys, once again, I hope you all enjoyed this, and I really want to know, what do you think of all this? And yeah, I'm out.